I'm Adam Moz, and this is Moz Models. Okay, now that we've set the servos up, I'm just going to go over quickly what I'm going to do on the radio side to support both the 645MGs and the SU400s. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tap here in Model, we're going to go to RF System, and we'll scroll down. You can see I got my TD10. Yeah, I spelled it wrong. It's the TDR10 number 1, not TD10R number 1. I'm going to tap on Set. We're going to go to Options. Now, the things to check are first, and you can see here, I have a problem. I don't have the low telemetry power option. So we'll go back here, go over to System, Info, and scroll down, and oh, I'm on firmware 1.07. I need 1.08 on the TDR10 and the TDR18, or 1.09 for TDMX or TDR6 to get this feature. So we're going to go back here, we're going to go File Manager, go over to Firmware. I've got a receiver folder, a tandem folder. You can see here I got firmware for TDR10, and I need the receiver off to do this, so we'll turn it off. Tap, double tap again, and we want to flash by RX by int OTA, the second option. Now we turn that receiver back on, and it popped up. Select, it says current version's 1.07, and we flash. And this takes a couple of minutes. Now, in this particular case, what I always do is when new firmware comes out, I download it, I throw it in my firmware folder. You can see I've got it all organized, so I've got firmware in there for modules, firmware in there for the internal module, for sensors, for the RBs. Everything just goes in there. There's more than enough space, even on the X18 with its 128 meg NAND. There's plenty of space to carry the current version and the last version of everything you might need. I don't carry like 17 versions, but I always have the current, and I always have the last if I've ever flashed that. I'll only put the current there if it's the only version that's come out so far. So we're all done here. Go back, and we're back here, RF System, down here it's Set, Options, and hey, we've got telemetry 25 MW mode, and we're going to go turn that on. Now we want that for those 645 MGs. If you've got a chattering issue with your 645 MGs or other servos because of the 900 meg you run in tandem, that's your solution right there. High PWM speed stays off. Again, 645 MGs are an analog servo. If I was running D645s or 5645s instead of the 645 MGs, I turn that on. I have, in this aircraft, I have 3 analog servos, my 645 MGs on the flaps, and an old NES 507 on throttle, and then I've got digitals on the tail. There's a set of OMGs, neat little servos. Not ones I'm continuing to buy, but I'm only not continuing to buy them because I like the Futaba SU400s even better, and I've got Futaba SU400s now on my ailerons. So this airplane's a little bit of a mix. I built it about a year ago with the standards and a couple of things I was testing back then. So I got HS422s on the wing, and then the 2 OMGs I was testing on the tail. It was an electric originally. When I put the glow in, I just pulled a servo out of my bin of random analog servos, threw that in. It's perfectly fine for what it's doing. And then this year, I'm now upgrading the wing because I'm just not comfortable with the 422s in the wing here. I think they're just a little underpowered for what I'm doing with the airplane. 645 MGs and SU400s across the board, more than good enough for that wing, and equivalent to the OMGs I've got on the tail. Now, getting back to the setup. So, the other key piece you have to do is, because I'm using Futaba SBus servos, my SBus mode needs to be set to SBus 16. Then I need to go down and make sure my pin 1 is set to SBus out, and I already did this. So pin 1 normally would be up here in channel 1, left aileron. And they're conveniently labeled. When you set this up, it does read the names you set up in outputs when you're going through here, so you know what you're assigning. But in this case, I am going all the way down and picking SBus out. Then I did the same thing on pin 5. You can see I got pin 6 is unassigned, 7 and 8 are my flaps. 9 is channel 9. That's actually what I'm using for power in this particular case. And pin 10 is FBus because I have a GPS ADV sensor installed in here, and I've gone there and configured it to support that. So we've got everything set up for this mix of analog and digital servos, or sorry, we've got everything set up for this mix of serial and PWM servos, and then FBus sensors on pin 10. And I could go and set, for example, pin 6 to support S port, so I could run, say, an old S port airspeed sensor and still run FBus for my GPS ADV and get the faster refresh rate on that. So now we can go back, and everything is set up at this point for the upgraded servos. I got the low telemetry power, and 25 milliwatts is fine for line of sight flying. Low telemetry power for the 645 MGs so they don't chatter, and SBus for the SU400s, so I take full advantage of what those servos could do in my system. And yes, Futaba SBus servos are fully compatible with FreeSky stuff. You don't get the telemetry from SBus2, you just get the regular SBus features. That's fine. SBus2 telemetry is a little limited, FBus is way better, but right now we're limited to the exact servos for FBus, and while they're excellent servos, they don't have any inexpensive options like the Futaba Universal Servo line. So, universal servos for the win. Thank you.